Welcome back to KMOT First News at 10. I'm John Jacqueline. Minot North girls basketball played its first ever varsity game on Saturday, and tonight the Sentinels play their first game in their new gym. Well, it's not so new. Volleyball did break it in the fall. Class A's Turtle Mountain in town, and this one was high scoring from the jump. 17-16 Braves mid-first half. Katie Nelson disrupts the passing lane. Ashley Williamson starts the fast break. Nelson gets rewarded with an open layup. Both teams pushing the pace. Braves running after a miss. Aubrey Janot dribbles into a three. This was part of a 32-point effort and one of 7 threes from Janot. And even when the Braves aren't scoring from outside, they're scoring on the inside. Ireli Czar gathers the offensive rebound and uses the glass for the second chance points. The hosts were down by double digits at one point in the first, but that's nothing in a momentum-filled high-scoring contest. There's Kinsey Wellstad hitting a bank shot. Turtle Mountain wins this one 84-82. Defensive stops were at a premium tonight. Other scores from around Class A and B in the region. Blowout wins for both Surrey and Berthold, plus St. John and Powers Lake Burke Central notch double-digit victories. And at the bottom of your screen, Shiloh Christian versus DLB was postponed tonight. The Skyhawks and Lakers will meet on the boys' side on Friday. Out to hockey. Century hosting Minot tonight in boys. It's the first of 2 meetings between the two teams in a month's time. Scoreless through the first, and it's truly a battle between the Pipes. Magi with a one-on-one opportunity, but Jaden Klingen swats it away. We go to the third, still knotted at zeros. Klingen protecting the net on the power play with a shot right into the chest. This one was chippy throughout. Puck bounces in the air. Quick shot in front, but Devin Kuehler stops it, and the extracurriculars ensue. Every goal scored in the final period here as Century wins 2-1. Now to girls hockey. Minot High defeats Williston 3-0. Yvonne Slind scored 2 for the Majettes. Bryn Hansen also finding the net, and Faith Seekings registered 27 saves in the freshman's first career win and shutout. Now, big upset tonight for NDSU men's basketball. The Bison take down Butler in Indianapolis 71-68. It wasn't always this close. NDSU led by 21 at halftime, but held on for the upset. Jakari White led the game in scoring with 27 points and was 7 of 9 on threes. Jackson Money, the West Fargo, Cheyenne grad, and Northern State transfer contributed 25. That's all we have in sports. We'll be right back.